If you're a Gen X or Millennial, you always knew what day it was based on what you were having for lunch. If it was pizza, it was Friday. You didn't need a calendar, you had a tray. And no matter where you went to school, that tray looked familiar. A hard plastic rectangle with molded compartments, a little square for dessert and a larger one for the main event, and even a circle in case there was mashed potatoes. Different towns, different states, same food, same rolls, and the same box of milk, you ask? Yes, chef, the same box of milk. Somehow, every cafeteria on Earth felt like it was pulling from the same secret menu. Let's be clear about the era we're talking about. This is public school lunch, mostly from the 1970s through the early 1990s. The age of carton milk and weekly menu cycles taped to the side of the fridge. This was not homemade food that happened to show up at school. This was a system. Cafeteria lines snaking past steel counters, a daily rotating menu you could predict by heart, meals designed, budgeted, and scheduled for millions of people eating the same thing nationwide all at once. It wasn't a restaurant, it was infrastructure with Tater Tots. To understand why it all felt so similar to everybody, you have to start with why school lunch exists at all. In 1946, the United States created the National School Lunch Program, created by the National School Lunch Act, signed by President Truman, to provide low-cost or free lunches and to absorb farm surpluses. The idea was simple but huge. Use federal support to make sure kids across the country had access to at least one reliable, reasonably nutritious meal during the school day, especially in the wake of the Great Depression and wartime rationing. This meant prioritizing calories and basic nutrition, keeping costs low enough for districts and families, being able to serve millions of meals quickly. Scale mattered more than creativity. Food had to be affordable in bulk, easy to store and transport, simple to prepare safely with limited time and staff. School lunch wasn't designed to be memorable in a culinary sense. It was designed to be there, every day, for every kid who needed it. Once you know that, the look and taste make more sense. Cafeterias relied heavily on frozen and prepared entrees, ingredients with a long shelf life, big pans and steam tables that could hold food at safe temperatures, and recipes that could be executed by a small staff for hundreds of students in a short window. That's how you get the legendary items. Rectangular pizza with soft crust and slightly sweet sauce, chicken patties and nuggets that all tasted vaguely familiar, sloppy joes, fish sticks and hot dogs, tater tots and crinkle-cut fries that carried more emotional weight than nutritional value, vegetables, obviously, that had clearly spent some extra time in a hot holding just to be safe. The goal wasn't gourmet flavor. The goal was consistency. If it worked in one school, it needed to work in thousands. The environment made it feel even more safe. You walked into a big, echoing room, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, the smell of whatever was on the menu mixed with bleach and cardboard, the sound of trays sliding, chairs scraping, kids shouting, milk cartons opening all at once. If someone dropped their tray, the whole cafeteria clapped and laughed like a bunch of little a-holes. You had a short window, maybe 20 to 30 minutes. Get through the line, find a seat, eat, talk to your friends, decode the social politics of who sat where. Adults were watching, teachers, aides, cafeteria staff, and everything ran on a schedule. You learned what you liked very quickly. You learned what you'd trade away even faster, especially if your buddy next door brought a bagged lunch. And then there was the milk. Let's not forget the milk. That's seared into our memories. Milk wasn't optional. It was built into the logic of the meal. Tiny cardboard cartons lined up in crates, white milk mostly, chocolate milk if you were lucky, sometimes strawberry in certain schools, which felt like spotting a rare Pokemon. Milk came with everything: pizza, tacos, spaghetti, fish sticks. Nutrition guidelines leaned hard on calcium and dairy, and school lunch policies reflected that. Got milk? School lunches did, that's for sure. For a lot of kids, though, chocolate milk wasn't nutrition, it was the reward. I had to pay 25 cents extra at my school. I'd walk in with $1 and drink 4 of them. It was the thing that made mystery meat and overcooked green beans feel more manageable. If your school did milk in bags instead of cartons, you entered an even more intense minigame. The precise art of stabbing the straw without puncturing straight through the other side. One wrong move, and your lunchtime becomes a physics problem. One of the most nostalgic things about grade school memories is how universal the lunch felt. Different districts, different decades, same core cast of characters. Some school systems didn't just end up with the same meals, they optimized toward them. To feed hundreds or thousands of students every day, cafeterias leaned on systems that prized consistency, cost control, and speed over creativity. Most districts use standardized recipes calibrated to meet national nutrition requirements and portion sizes. They bought food from large-scale vendors that supplied entire regions, sometimes multiple states, and they ran predictable menu cycles, often 4 to 6 weeks, because repetition made ordering, budgeting, and staffing manageable. The food had to be cheap and shippable. If a meal checked all those boxes, it stayed forever. The most memorable, obviously, the rectangular pizza. It worked especially well on Fridays, particularly in heavily Catholic regions, because it aligned with the long-standing tradition of no meat on Fridays during Lent. Cheese pizza checked every box. Acceptable, affordable, popular, and easy to scale. So Friday Pizza Day wasn't just cultural, it was practical. Over time, those decisions stacked. Menus repeated, meals returned on schedule, tastes imprinted. You don't remember school lunch because it was great, you remember it because it was repetitive. Over time, the system started to shift. Nutrition science evolved, and so did public concern about childhood health. Policies were updated to reduce certain fats and sodium, offer more fruits and veggies, and include whole grains and more varied options in some districts. More attention to allergies and special diets, more fresh produce in many districts. In other ways, the cafeteria still had the same constraints. Limited time, limited staff, tight budgets, the need to feed a lot of kids quickly and safely. So even as the menus evolved, that institutional feeling never fully went away. It's still a system, just one with different rules. For a lot of millennials and Gen Xers out there, school lunch is less about the food and more about the rhythm of childhood. It gave the day structure. You knew it was Friday because it was pizza day. You knew it was Wednesday because you could smell sloppy joes from the hallway. You knew whose birthday it was when they showed up with cupcakes from home. Lunch was unavoidable and shared. Everyone stood in the same line, held the same tray, made the same decision about whether the peas were worth it. We don't miss the taste of lukewarm fish sticks. We miss the predictability, the noise, the feeling of scanning the room for your friends while balancing a chocolate milk and a wobbling pile of tater tots. School lunch didn't taste the same everywhere because people were unimaginative. It tasted the same because it had to. And that sameness, that strange comfort in knowing exactly what would be on the tray, is why you can still picture it now. Right down to the compartment where the pizza always went, and that little square where the dessert waited if you were lucky. Thank you, Chef.